Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening up in the sky above here in Washington. It is a blustery day, and I was worried this morning, just a titch, that the power wouldn't stay on in order for me to do my show because it's darn windy and it is so rainy. And it's like the exact opposite of where we were at the beginning of October, where it was, in the 80s. Yikes, right? What a difference a month makes. But I think we can get through this, hopefully. Today, there's a funny thing about today, is that I was totally uninspired to come on and talk about any one thing in particular. No sound. You guys are not hearing me? Somebody else, can you hear me? I see Erica says no sound, but I can see my camera's on and the default speakers are my Plantronics. I can hear, and the speaker looks like it's working. Tom says, I hear you fine. Okay, good. So, never mind. Oh, that's so funny. Erica, remember the day that I came on air and I couldn't hear anybody, but it was because I had muted my computer the day before and forgot about it. So I totally get it. No big deal. So good morning, Erica and Tom and Kajella and Lo and Pam Zaruba. It is good to see you. Good morning, she says. Pam says, thunder and lightning here. Ay, ay, ay. Thunder and lightning. We don't get that very often up here in the Northwest. Not much at all. But when it does happen, it's very surprising and shocking because we just don't. It just doesn't. It comes out of nowhere. So anyway, that's funny. Anyway, we're going to get through this morning by maybe talking and dabbling in a lot of different topics. The first topic I want to talk about is the moon. And, this has been a somewhat difficult week for me. The last couple of days, I've spent a lot of time crying my eyes out, mostly because I was in the background of the work that I do, listening to a Shift Network series on viewing life from the other side. So, you all know that, of course, I lost my son a year ago. And, the one person on the other side that I really want to connect with is him. And we had all different kinds of topics, that they were talking about, from automatic writing to um, the courage of souls and our in between life planning sessions, old patterns and mythologies of witchcraft and all these things that, myths around what happens when we cross over and all of that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of interesting things, but a lot of trigger things coming up for me during that time as well, which then made me go, okay, we are sitting in the shadow, right? We're sitting in the shadow period, the collective shadow period. Today we happen to be at change, or eight moving. So moving energy is about change and about the energy moving forward, right? So what that would imply in the shadow period is that it's time for us to move on out of those shadows, right? To let them go, to heal them, to work with them, to not let them take us out of the game, so to speak. And funny thing, some of the stuff that happened this week almost took me out of the game. And I kept thinking about that. Who wins? Not that this is a game that has a winner or a loser, but how do I benefit if I take myself out of the game? That's ultimately what it came down to. And I was thinking about that in terms of what is it that are our soul gifts. As you know, I'm doing a lot of work now in the Akashic Records, helping people discover who they are at soul level. And at soul level, we all have at least a primary gift. We actually have access to all of the gifts. So there are parts of you in all of the different dimensions that have access to all of the different gifts. If you didn't have access to at least all of them, you wouldn't have any frame of reference with which to be able to understand anybody in your life, right? So we have to have access to all of them in some ways. And when we look at the shadow period of time that we're in, what gets beaten up is your soul gift, or can get beaten up. I'm not going to say that everybody's having issues with shadows at this point in time, but if you are, it's likely your soul gift that is taking the hit. Well, I thought maybe today we would talk a little bit about those different gifts and how it is that the shadow can be affecting you. So I'll use myself first since I was experiencing something that woke me up to this, and that was that my divine gift is communication. So I'm here to talk. Imagine that, right? Sun in my human design on the throat center, the gate 12. So not only am I here to talk, but I'm here to channel and I'm here to bring in information. And sometimes for some people, that information can be damn uncomfortable, right? As sometimes the truth is being laid bare and they don't always like that truth. Such is the case for something that happened to me this week. The person absolutely um, reacted negatively to the conversations that we were having. And immediately my shadow got triggered, right? My shadow wanted to shut down my voice. And what I said was that I'm not coming on air. I'm not going to talk to anybody, right? I'm just going to go away into the night, like get on my little horse and just travel on into the sunset and not bring out my voice to anybody anymore because it's too dangerous, right? It leaves you open to being projected upon. It leaves you open to becoming the victim of somebody else's shadows. And yeah, right? I could have easily gone that way. I'm telling you, it was this close. It was this close for me to just say, F this, I'm out of here, right? I don't need that BS in my life. I really don't. I don't want it. But then I stopped and I went, wait a minute. Then the shadow wins, and you'll repeat this same lesson somewhere else with some other person in some other way, but it will be basically the same lesson. And what that lesson will be is about staying in your own authenticity and living your soul gift, or giving up on it and letting somebody else rob you of your own power. So, if your divine gift happens to be the gift of communication, and some of you out there listening today are, I believe, then when the shadow gets triggered, what's the first thing that's going to go? Is your communication, whether that's writing or speaking or teaching. Something that can happen in the outer world might trigger that, and away it goes. Now, let's say your divine gift is relationships, divine love and relationships and divine healing. They all are in one gift. And I know a couple of you out there have this one. And the person that created the havoc for me this week also has this as their gift, right? Relationship. And relationship, right? Divine relationship is all about love and connection. And here we are today at the 8th day in the Pleiadian Earth energy calendar. And 8 is all about connection, heart to heart, right? Human to human, but also soul or spirit to human, right? So divine to human and human to human. So we have a lot of connection energy here. And what that person's problem was is connection. And they accused me of telling them they couldn't have connection. Hello? I would never say that if your divine gift is that of connection. So it was a mystery to me as to what the heck was going on there. But the moon is in Pisces. That didn't occur to me until this morning. If the moon is in Pisces, often what in the shadow period, that can bring up the shadows that are, shadows by their very nature hide out here, behind us, sort of, or in the blind spot, right? You know how you have your side view mirrors and your rear view mirrors, but you need to still look over your shoulder if you're changing lanes because you have a blind spot. And the shadows lie in our blind spot. So the blind spot, perhaps, with the gift of relationship is not feeling connected, right? Not feeling like you are connected to anybody, feeling maybe like you've been let down by people, feeling perhaps that others aren't worth being in connection with. Right? And breaking down instead of breaking through that old pattern. So, looking at your soul gift, if it's divine connection or if it's divine love and healing, which is the name of that gift, then connection is what it's all about. And everything you do, every choice you make needs to be about choosing connection, not choosing disconnection, right? So, That shadow period can have us going in the wrong direction. Now, let's say your gift is divine order. Divine order is always an interesting one, right? It is the gift of keeping everything in a sort of perfect order. It's not just about perfect order, though. It's also about keeping the drama in life at bay, right? Not being reactive to the dramas that are showing up in life, being able to work with things, work with energy in a stepwise fashion, right? Being able to take one step in front of the other, not getting lost or scattered. So, the gift here would really be to keep things moving forward, to keep things in order. The shadow can have you get very scattered and get drawn in to other people's dramas, to get drawn into the idea that you have to try to solve the problems for everybody before you can get back on path and do what you are here to do. So that's an interesting one because I think a lot of people out there have been I know I've had issues with trying to stay focused, right? Because Mars in Gemini and now in retrograde in Gemini can be stirring that pot a little bit, giving us, access to so much information, so much stuff. And, trying to listen to the truth of what's coming up from inside of us can get muted, right? It could be very hard to hear. So maybe rather than dealing with my own stuff, it's much easier to deal with someone else's. A trap, right? That's a trap. Uh, if you have the divine gift of manifesting, which is a gift that feels very much like Taurus, right? Taurus energy, manifesting what you want, being a builder, right? Setting up foundations and laying the roots down for something to be built, right? Could be a family, could be a business, could be your own life, right? Your own, whatever it is that you're building. The divine manifesting gift is all about taking the steps to build and sticking with it until you end up with what it is that you desired. So it has a lot of energy around manifesting, getting what you want by choosing it, first off, choosing it, and then staying with it until you get it, right? So if you want to build a business, then you have to lay the template, the foundation, or put down the roots, right? So that it's not on sand or on wobbly ground. And then you build from that, right? So that's divine manifesting. And what can happen in the shadow period then is you give up on your dream. It gets too hard, right? Or you start to see, I'm not getting what I want. Rather than thinking about, well, what new choices can I make to get me to where I want to go? You give up, right? You let it go. You're like, "Nah, I guess it's not for me." Or I guess the universe doesn't want me to have that, which is never the truth. The universe wants you, it doesn't want anything for you, technically speaking. The universe is there to be as you wish, right? As you wish. This morning, when I was trying to determine what kind of a graphic I wanted, I was looking for a genie on a magic carpet, which I have in front of me here, but I couldn't find that same image. So I ended up with the genie, lamp and this wisp of smoke coming out. Because I feel like right now, with the nodes and the eclipse pattern across Taurus and Scorpio, a lot of us might be feeling like giving up on our dreams, giving up on who we are, on what we wanted, or choosing not to choose, even though that's still a choice. Choosing not to take the next step, choosing not to do something new, but choosing instead to just keep whining about what you're not getting, right? That's part of the shadow is staying stuck in where you are instead of making a new choice that is going to take you on that journey to manifesting your dreams. So I think if you hold that gift, and some of you might have that as a primary gift, and some of you might have that as a secondary gift. So if if you have that as a secondary gift, and a couple of you I see out there this morning do, then this is still affecting you, right? In some way, the shadow might be being triggered because you don't yet see the evidence of getting what you want, right? So you're ready to give it up, right? I'm just not going to do it, right? I just can't see how it can happen. And so that choice itself, that choice of not to make a new choice to move in that direction, it holds the shadow in place, right? It keeps that shadow there. And so what you get to keep validating is, I never get what I want. I never get what I want, right? That shadow stays there. Now, some of you out there might have divine compassion as your soul gift. And divine compassion is about compassion, having a loving, giving heart that is ready to be there for others, but also needs to be there for themselves, right? So it's the gift of the connection we have when we're able to hold people's energies and walk with them down the path, but without taking on the energy themselves, right? So when we have compassion, we're able to hold space at heart to heart with someone, but divine compassion as a soul gift is also being able to extend that backwards to yourself as well. So, in the shadow period of divine compassion, it might be beating yourself up, right? The shadow period here may find all kinds of ways in which you can't seem to be your own best friend, or where other people and their needs for empathy and compassion are testing your boundaries, right? Your boundaries might be being tromped on a bit. And by the way, like I said at the very beginning, we all hold all of these gifts in different percentages, right? If 100%, you're you've got some part of you that is resonating with this energy. So it could be that that part of the shadow does show up for you, even if it isn't your primary soul gift, right? So just keep that in mind that some of you might be feeling some of these things, even if it isn't your primary gift. So in divine compassion, then the choice needs to be about drawing the boundary, right? Being a little bit more circumspect about how much you're giving, right? And how much um, you're meant to give of yourself, but then also looking at, well, where am I not giving to myself, right? Where do I keep myself out of that equation? Where do I write myself out and instead put I need to give all of this to everyone else around me, which then makes me end up coming from a deficit, and now I end up sick. I might end up with autoimmune diseases. I might end up with all kinds of chaos in the body because the body knows that you're out of alignment, right? That you're giving too much. You're eating away at vital energy. So there's that one. Now, since I started at 5 and I've gone backwards, and there are 8 total soul gifts, let's look at soul gift number 6, or the soul gift of truth. Now, the soul gift of truth are the people that are the truth tellers. They're the people that are, kind of Sagittarian almost, in that they can be blunt, right? Their gift is to see the truth and then to transmit the truth. And in the shadow, whether it's the shadow for them or it's the shadow for others, the truth doesn't get told, right? The truth gets withheld, or when the truth is given, it is not received in the spirit in which it was given. So the gift of divine truth is all about having to speak one's truth, the truth according to that person, what they see, because the divine truth sayers can see right through you. Right? They see right through to the heart and the truth of who you are and what your shadows are and what you're hiding yourself from. And then their gift is to give that to you, to tell you that truth. But if they get shut down, right? If people are like, la, 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 I don't want to hear it. Or if they speak it out of turn, right? Because again, remember, we still have our human design. Maybe their throat is open and they're designed to wait for the invitation, right? Because that's a possibility, right? That divine truth, just because you are in the soul gift of divine truth doesn't mean that you're meant to just blurt out what you see to everybody you meet. Right? Can you imagine walking down the street and you see into the truth of this person and you blurt that out and they're like, "Whoa, dude, shut up," right? So we have to be very circumspect about truth. And again, we all have the gift of truth. It's there. It might not be your primary or even your secondary, but it's there. And when it rears its head or its need is to be spoken, you have to answer that call, but you have to answer that call in the way that you're designed to do that. So it might be if you have an open throat, you have to say, "May I share with you some observations that I have seen?" or an observation about this situation for you, and wait for them to either say yay or nay. If they say no, then you go, okay, you know what? I stand ready. If you want the truth sometime, come to me. I will be happy to tell you. If they say yes, then your job is to deliver that truth, right? That truth as you see it. But they also tell the bigger truths, right? The bigger, wider truths of the world. So if you have people in your life who are, usually the ones that can't, zip their lip because they have something to say, they're the ones likely that are working somehow in this gift. And in the shadow period now, there might be a lot of people whose ears are plugged, like who are like, la, 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 don't want to hear that. Don't tell me. And you have to be okay with that. That such is the shadow for the energy center or the energy gift of truth, right? That you might not want to hear it, and the people in your life might not want to hear it. Now, the next one is the gift of divine power. Now, divine power is such an interesting one because divine power is all about free will and making choices that are congruent with your desires. It feels very egoic. And yet, that is the path for a person who has divine power. And I know there are a few of you out there who have that one as your soul gift, your primary soul gift. So, for you, life is all about a series of choices that are meant to be made for you, by you, in your own interest, which the rest of the world is going to look at and go, aren't you being a little self centered or selfish? No, they're not. Their job, their work, their gift is to get to where they're going by making choices that are good for them. Free will, right? You all have divine power in your matrix somewhere. So it's not like you don't have free will because it's not your primary one. We're living on a planet that, resonates to divine free will, right? Free will, free choice. It just happens that the person with divine power has to make choices that are congruent to them. But guess what? The shadow is obligation. They get themselves caught up and obligated to do things for other people out of a misidentified energy around self centered versus selfless, right? Selfless versus self centered or selfish. So all of us as humans at some time or another, we sometimes get, that feeling that I really want to go there. I really want to do that. I really don't want to do, what this, other person over here wants me to do. And when I give up doing what is right for me, then I end up with regrets or I end up feeling obligated. I end up in human design words in a half hearted connection to whatever it is that I'm doing or not doing, such as the case may be. So, divine power, very, very important, and a shadow that is huge on the planet, right? Huge on the planet because somehow the messaging, the conditioning of the field is all about not being selfish or self-centered. It's really about how much can you give, right? How much money can you give? How much time can you give? How much of your support can you give? How much love can you give, right? And sometimes people are just like hungry ghosts, right? They're just hungry. They're just taking it all in. Give me more, give me more. That happens in the shadow period. So if that is your life gift, your soul's gift, you might be feeling right now torn between doing what you really love and what you really want to do and what you feel like you have to do because that's what other people expect of you. And that can actually be exaggerated a bit for people who have an open emotional center because the open emotional center is a people pleaser, right? They've learned to say and do things that make other people happy so that they do not have to contend with emotionalism, right? The emotions that come with all of that. So, if that's a shadow, if you're recognizing some parts of that shadow, that is likely what you are working on during this period of time. And finally, the last gift is is divine wisdom. And in divine wisdom, what we have is uncommon common sense. We have people who are wise, who are sort of Buddhas in waiting, right? I think of them as the wise woman, the wise man, the shaman, the Buddha, the Christ, who is waiting for you to draw out their wisdom. And when they when their wisdom is drawn out, it tends to be coming from a very commonsensical place. No spiritual platitudes or all of this out here, jargon, BS that no one understands what you're saying. It's very common sense, right? That's the beauty in some of the more simplistic things that we can get from common sense is that we can all understand it. So it's a part of understanding, but it's also being held and not just barfed out all over people until someone asks for your wisdom. And then when your wisdom is required, it is amazing how that turns out. And there are one or two of you out there that I know that I've worked with who have that divine wisdom as their gift. Now, what happens in the shadow here is sort of like a complex or an energy around trying to back up everything that you're saying, like going into get research overload, right? I'm going to research every piece of information about this topic so that I can send it to you so that you can see that I'm really right. It has a bit of a self righteousness about it, wisdom gone wrong, right? Tends to be a know it all, right? I know it all. And, you came to me, I know it all, you best listen to me kind of energy. So the shadow here might be triggered when someone doesn't want to hear, right, your common sense, or when you're left without anybody to talk to about your common sense or what you see. Right. So wisdom is a tricky one because wisdom gets called out of us. It doesn't, it's not blasted out now, I can think of reasons why that might happen. Let's say you have the primary gift of divine wisdom and your secondary gift is about divine communication. It might be incumbent upon you then to speak your wisdom or share your wisdom through writing or teaching um, in a way that communicates or broadcasts, right? But for the most part, if divine wisdom is your gift, you're waiting to share that wisdom when people ask. And it will be surprisingly simple when it comes out, right? And no complexity, no big, fluffy, great description of something that nobody knows what you're saying or talking about. So if that shadow is showing up for you, then it's possibility that you have divine wisdom as your gift. All right. So I see a couple of other people have joined us. Good morning, Kamal. Haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Irene from Sweden, I believe it is. Good morning. Corey, great to see you. Christine Buckingham says, like the myth of Cassandra. Awesome. And Erica Dorsey says, oh, wow. I wish that were my primary truth. um, Joan Durchie, good morning to you. Debbie Tibbetts Meal, good morning. I hope you're feeling a whole lot better nowadays. And what I want to know from all of you is what you feel like your gift is. And is the shadow of that gift showing up in your life right now? So do that through chat if you can do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to talk a little bit about astro design in terms of what is happening up in the stars above us at the moment, because primarily this is an astrology and human design, i.e., astro design um, uh, broadcast. So today the moon is in Pisces, and the moon in Pisces is going into the void this afternoon at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock my time. So what's that, 6 o'clock for those of you on the East Coast, just for an hour. So from 3:05 to 4:07 p.m., the moon will just be waffling, kind of just wandering around. There's no real ability during that 1 hour, thankfully, to be able to start anything new. It comes at the end of the workday for us. It comes at the after the end the workday for you all. So there is probably not a huge impact on that. And one of the things that I'd like to think about with the as we close out the moon in Pisces transit is where the energy of victimhood or martyrdom or saviorness, savior, victim, martyr, all kind of goes together. Where might that be playing out in your life? Whether it's playing out, you know, in the very obvious conscious way, or is it subconscious? Is there a subconscious pattern that's being triggered? Because that occurred to me this morning. as well is that the last couple of days with the moon in Pisces, it has been a lot of spirituality. It has been a lot of the seen, unseen realm, a lot of conversations with the other side, perhaps. It's funny, I had the weirdest dream this morning. Two weird dreams back to back. I woke up at 3 something and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I laid there for like an hour. The last time I looked at the clock, it was 4:15. Um, After that, I don't remember. So I must have fallen asleep. And the first thing I dream about is I'm at an ocean and I'm in like a cabana or building, kind of perpendicular to the water. So if this is the water, here's where I was. And then there's a bunch of stuff going on off over to the side of me. And I look out into the water and I see this like uh, large body. It's an animal. I'm thinking it's a whale or an orca, something like that, right? That's what I would see here off my coast is an orca or a whale. And so I'm like, wow, look at that. He's coming in close. And it turns out it was two dinosaurs. A Diplodocus, if you know what a dinosaur Diplodocus looks like, they have kind of the duckbill platypus beak or face. And I was so excited. My two grandsons, Noah and Wyatt, they're dinosaur freaks. And Wyatt, in particular, can tell you everything there is to know about any dinosaur. And he's 4, right? You pick up a picture, he'll tell you what that dinosaur is. So when I don't know what a dinosaur is, I call Wyatt. Funny enough. And so I was so excited. I was like, Wyatt and Noah, you have to come and see the Diplodocus. And they come running because they're totally excited. And then it turns out they were only balloons. And they were so disappointed. And I was so disappointed that they didn't get to see the Diplodocus that I saw. So dreams, right? The dreams right now with the moon in Pisces, they might be symbolic of something, right? They could, not that I'm a dinosaur. Maybe I'm feeling like a dinosaur. Like maybe I'm feeling used up or like I'm not relevant anymore. Ooh, that would be interesting. Um, and then of course there's deflation. The balloon was deflated, and maybe there's deflation in how I feel about what I'm doing. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think about dreams that you're having. And the second dream that I had was I thought I was awake and I could feel Terry's body next to me, and I got up for whatever reason, and this is I realize now a dream, but I get up, and when I look back at the bed, it was my other grandson Dallas. 3 grandsons appeared in my dreams this last evening or this morning, and he was in the bed between me and Terry. And but he looked like he was like laying on his back, arms down, eyes closed, like he was just like a mummy of himself there. And I have no idea what that one means either. But when we tap into that Piscean energy, we get into a deeper part of our psyche, right? We get access to something deeper, something more primordial that is there for us. And if you can become, an expert at translating your own symbology, then or even just allowing your waking mind as you wake up to understand, well, what was that dream about? Journal it down. It might even be where a part of your shadow, this is the shadow period, it might be a part of where your shadow is living, right? Where is it? Right? Because a lot of times in our subconscious mind or in our unconscious dream state, our fears come up. Our shadows and our fears, they come up for us. So now, after 4:07 this afternoon, the moon will move into Aries, and that is where it will be for the weekend. That is a good thing for starting something new, but sometimes that adds tension to our relationships. The moon brings emotion to conflict or to confrontation with others. And dude, get down. Oh, you're just going to be a pain, aren't you? They're all full of P and V today. So the moon moving into Aries might open up a doorway to something new, or it could be a call for some boiling point inside of you to come up to the surface and to get spewed, right? To get dealt with. So we need to be aware this weekend that we don't want to um, we don't want to project our own shadows out onto the others in our lives, right? This is a shadow that is also triggered not just because the moon is in Aries, but because Mars, the ruler, is retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So it can be releasing old beliefs and thoughts and stuff that, that we haven't communicated. Um, that lies deep within us, and it could be releasing it. It comes to the surface, and then what do we want to do? Right? We throw it out side of us to see, which means that we can project it out there onto other people. So watch for that this weekend. Now, I looked at what the gates that the moon are is in for today anyway, leading us into tomorrow. And that means we have gates 22, which is a gate on the emotional center, gate 36, also on the emotional center, and then gate 25, that is on the heart center, or excuse me, the identity center, right? The center for love and direction. And so let's deal with the 22 first. It's about grace or not grace, right? It's it's an interesting energy because it puts it in opposition to my natal sun, and there was the problem for me this morning. Bold, feeling like I could speak versus being shy or withholding my voice, feeling like I couldn't speak. I saw it right there. So in the energy of the 22, the moon is saying, watch what you say, right? Because you might just be in a mood. Don't make decisions based on the mood, right? Eventually, essentially, the gift in this gate 22 is grace, right? Grace, being graceful, having grace, being graced by or given something of grace. So that happens though when we don't force ourselves to put ourselves out there emotionally. If because it connects up to the throat center, if we have something we want to say, but we have difficulty bringing it up, then it's probably best left unsaid. Because if you try to force it, it's probably not going to come out in the way in which that you wanted it to come out. And it's going to make you feel bad, or it's going to maybe hurt somebody else's feelings. So we have to watch for that. Later in the day, the moon will move into the gate 36. That is called the gate of crisis, the gate of turmoil. And that's not just, that is the shadow of that gate, but it's experiential. And it's interesting here because it can sometimes be triggered by restlessness or boredom. And we reach out with that energy, the moon, right? We want to confront what's in us that's bored or restless. I was kind of feeling a little bit like that too, of course, because the weather's turned and I can't just like go do what I want to do, at least not easily, right? I can't get on my bike and just ride. I really don't want to walk in the rain, whatever, right? So I have all these reasons of things going on that are keeping me kind of, homebound. The other thing I thought about too is like, I would love to just go walk the mall. And then I went, what mall? Right? We don't have a mall anymore. Right? We don't have, places like that where we could go inside and just sort of wander around. Uh, Maybe I need to make a trip to Starbucks and just sit amongst the people in the Starbucks. I don't know. But there is this feeling of that restlessness, and it's possibly boredom. Terry was telling me he's got a doctor's appointment this afternoon, so he's off work early. That means he'll come home from work early. And then I was just like, ugh, I cannot face a long night or a long day, end of the day and into the night of just sitting around watching TV. Right, that in the winter, that is, or this time of the year, that is often, right? He comes home from work, we eat dinner, we chit chat, and then the TV goes on and we watch whatever, shows are on. And I'm feeling already bored with that, right? What do we do instead? Good question, right? So we might be feeling bored in the way that we are in our relationships. We might be feeling bored in the work that we do. We might be feeling restless about the way things aren't happening the way we wanted them to happen. Just don't fall. If caving into the restlessness can cause you to leap out of or into things that are really not correct for you. So, the better way to use this energy is to channel it through some form of physical energy, exercise, or doing something different that doesn't change your life dramatically. And then finally, as the moon transitions out of Pisces and into Aries, we have the gate 25, which is called the gate of the love of spirit or the gate of spirit. It is our spiritual connection. It is one of the four gates of love. And we have Jupiter sitting at that gate right now. And Jupiter, the principle of growth and expansion, expanding our connection to spirit. The moon moving into that gate, also helping to facilitate that. And in that energy, in the gene keys, the gift there, I can't remember if it's the gift or the city, is innocence. And that's an interesting constriction, I think, is the lowest expression of. I probably should just get out my Gene Keys book and look at that. 20, oh, I opened right up to it. Is constriction, sorry, in the lowest expression. The gift is acceptance, and the highest expression is universal love, right? So I was confusing it with another gate. So the shadow of constriction is what we will be dealing with as we get to early or later tonight and into tomorrow's energy. And then, of course, other gates come on after that. But the reason I want to bring this up is that if we can look at the moon, especially right now, because the moon is showing us the emotional energy that's coming up for each of us, is really likely tied to some shadow that you have within you or something that is not yet sealed, healed, healed, not sealed, within you. And that is something that we really want to pay attention to because this time that we're in all the way through what is it through the I have to get my calendar out through I think it's the 10th of this month. By the way, I got my new Pleiadian Earth energy calendar for 2023. Excuse me, it's through the 19th of this month. It's a time for us to release ourselves from those shadows. So if we don't deal with it, we're missing a prime opportunity to clear up some of the residue, some of the stuff hidden in our subconscious or unconsciousness, right? So bringing consciousness, bringing light, in other words, to it allows us to heal it, to work through it. Good morning, Kathy Miller. She says, I never have warm, fuzzy dreams. Mine are always weird. Many are huge, empty buildings, and I'm wandering and searching for a way out. Usually, buildings are about your unconscious mind. So, having a huge, empty building or a huge, empty, unconscious mind is a good thing, right? It's a good thing. It means that there isn't anything of primary importance that you're having to work through at the moment. You've probably done a lot of work on yourself and gotten yourself into a space where you can be free a little bit. So the problem might be the wandering and searching for a way out might be because your consciousness has been taught that we have to have something to do, don't we? Or else what's our life all about, right? But we're human beings. You've earned the right to just be, perhaps. Now, of course, only you know what your dreams really mean. Michelle Gay, good morning to you. J Lo says that's interesting. I had gotten very sleepy yesterday early and went to bed by 9:45. Woke up at 5:55 and then back to sleep until 8:05. Yeah, that it is interesting when the moon is in Pisces, and I just didn't pay attention to where the moon was yesterday and the day before while I was having these, odd experiences. But it's always worthwhile to look at it. And for those of you who ordered your little ephemeris, right? Your 2022 Zen Human Design ephemeris, it tells you, right? On this page over here. So on this page, you have all of the planets except the moon, and they go across the top, by the way, across the top over here. I feel like I'm backwards here. There's the top with the planets, and then these are the days, and then the gates that all those planets are in. But over here is the moon. So this is specific to the moon. So you can look at the date and you can see what energies the moon will be moving through. Then you can check that against your own human design chart and see, are these gates that I have open that are suddenly going to be filled in and I'm going to be resonating with that energy? Are these gates that I already have defined and that just adds an extra layer perhaps to the energies I already expressed through those gates? Or is it somewhere out in la la land? It doesn't really give me anything except the potential for expressing that energy through connection with another person who has the opposite end. So we can get into, that intricacy of how human designs work together in relationship. So that is one way to use this little book. And this little book is available now for 2023. And speaking of 2023, I have already put the plans into place for the 2023 Astro Design webinar. That will be on December 15th. Circle your calendar at 12 noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. East Coast time, 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., not sure which for those of you in the Universal Time Zone. But here's the good news. Even if you can't come there live, I record the whole thing. And for the people who did not attend, they get the recording plus the slides. And so there's nothing that you miss, right? And you still get access to the free bonus, which, as I discussed earlier this week, is your personalized astrology calendar for 2023. So that's all there on the homepage of my website. You can already purchase your ticket to the webinar, and I suggest you do because this year I'm actually going to advertise it. Wow, what a concept. And I have no intention of adding more than 100 spots. So you want to be in that first 100. And then you'll also get your personalized calendar early so that you have access to that. So woohoo, Erica says it's there on the homepage for you to purchase now. And then along with that, I haven't put this up yet, will be the Astrology for 2023 personalized reading. If you're someone who really likes to work with me one-on-one in hearing for you personally what all of those transits are going to bring for you for the year, I'll have that up shortly and you can start to schedule that. We are in the time, right? It's November. We have only one full month left before the new year. And like I always tell people whose birthdays are coming up, you can get your reading for your birthday like 60 days before. So we're in that time zone now, right? We're in at least 60 days before the new year happens. So you can already plan on getting that kind of a reading if that's something that you want to do. Okay. Any questions? People want to say something, ask me a question. Do you need a card reading? Because I really have nothing else that I need to share, nothing else coming up with a vengeance that's saying, talk about this. I do have about 10 minutes. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Erica, highly recommend your birthday reading with Janet. Erica is, her birthday is coming up. Erica, maybe we should do a card reading for you. How would you like that as a birthday gift? Um, and wow, okay, this jumped out at me. Mayan Oracle. The Mayan Oracle. Not sure why that showed up, but I just listened. Debbie would love a card. Corey would love a card. I'm going to write these down. Corey, Debbie, and uh okay. And Debbie and Corey. If you have a request for a special deck, let me know. If not, I will choose for you. And Erica, this is going to be a card that is going to symbolize the year for you. And it is a universal energy 510. Oh, it's ascension, right? This is the number 13. That brings in the divine feminine. It brings in the energy of ascension, right? Ascension, not as what most people think of ascension, but in the moving up, right? The elevating of consciousness. So let's take a look at that here. The 13th tone, in this book, the numbers are tones. In the Pleiadian Earth calendar, they're universal days. So the 13th tone calls forth the greater pattern. The hand of fate beckons and then catapults you free to journey home. The qualities of the number: expect a miracle, wild card, unseen forces, unexpected change, flexibility, open system, a touch of destiny, interdimensional shift, and a galactic wave rider. Well, that's so fascinating. 13 is the ray of universal movement, the foundation of self within the foundation of essence self. Hello? That was scary. Something going on in my living room, likely cat related. since I do not see the cats in here. Ah, rascals. I'm so sorry, Erica. Let me go back to this. 13 is the ray of universal movement, the foundation of self within the foundation of essence self combined with the rhythm of Trinity. 13 is the number sacred to the goddess. Evoke this grace, it is your birthright. 13 touches you with the hand of unseen forces and radical change. Drawing this card alerts you that not that, whatever is resisting change is unexamined or is stationary, is being catalyzed into movement. Drawing this number indicates that something unexpected is coming, something that may dramatically change the course of your life. You are being touched by fate, moved through identifications of ego self into open consciousness. Oline, the Mayan goddess of movement, asks you to surrender to perfection of the larger. It's a cat fight. Hold on. Dude, Lord have mercy. What is a girl to do? So you are being touched by fate. From the perspective of surrender and trust, what movement is being called for now? Pay attention to synchronicities and seeming coincidences that jump into your awareness. 13 provides the possibility of a radical frequency phase shift, offering you limitless new openings. Become a skywalker. Be open and flexible, allowing changing reference points to become dynamic allies. Open to the workings of destiny offered by universal movement. Drawing this card says to be on the alert for a miracle. Whatever you have been offering in positive energy toward the realization of your dream and vision is being actualized in receiving 13. This indicates the coalescing of the quantum potential of a miracle into its realization and fulfillment. Woo! Woohoo! Okay, Corey says she thinks she would like an angel card. So let me get my angel. That's dragons. Those aren't angels. Well, they're different kinds of angels. Okay, here we go. This is called the Angel Guide Deck by Kyle Gray. And Corey, this is your card. Well, we'll find out what your card is. So be focusing on what it is. Yes, I know, Pam. Isn't that awesome? 3 more subscribers and I'll be at 1,000. I'm surprised that YouTube hasn't reached out to me yet and said, hey, you're there almost. So what do you want to do next? Um, Ooh, this card flew out for you, Corey, and it is Raise Your Vibration. Look at that. It's a beautiful card, right? It evokes all kinds of ability to raise your vibration or your frequency, moving yourself forward in frequency. So that is an R, so it's probably back here. And it says, Corey, it's time to move up a level. It's time to fly high. You may have experienced some setbacks or felt low recently, but that is behind you now, and you have the opportunity to light up like never before. Everything in the entire universe is comprised of energy, and that energy vibrates, drawing toward its similar energy. So, raising your vibration means aligning yourself with situations, people, places, and choices that you know will lift you up, support you, and help you grow. When this card appears, you have overcome the darkness and are moving into a time of opportunity. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you can be reborn. Know that angels are acknowledging your commitment to growth, and you are filled with inspiration now and attracting only the good. Here's the extended message. There's a sense of achievement around you at this time. You may be receiving documentation, certification, or reward of some description to acknowledge your growth or experience. This is a time to cherish, a time to enjoy the rewards of your commitment to living with integrity and doing good. You have overcome many challenges and risen above adversity, judgment, and possibly even abuse. You are ascending spiritually and personally at this time, and the universe is supporting you. This is the pathway of light, the pathway of your soul's evolution, ascension. Now, isn't that funny? There's 2 cards in a row now, but from different decks and 2 different people that the cards are for. Speaking of ascension, and for all of us, because we're all here together in this collective that is living astrology, all of these cards also hold meaning for us as individuals, even if it isn't your card. So there you go. You know what, Christine? I do have a spray bottle, but it's out there on the deck and not helpful to me at this moment. But thank you. Okay, goosebumps from Erica. And let's see, Debbie, you also wanted a card reading. Just pick one you know better. Well, I think perhaps I'm going to pull a dragon for you because that deck came out and I thought it was angels at the time and that was going to be for Corey. So I'm wondering now if maybe dragon is for you. So let's draw Debbie a dragon and see what magic is in the dragon. Oh, crystal yellow dragon opens you to higher learning and wisdom. Expand your crown chakra for illumination. Walk the higher spiritual path. Here's the beautiful crystal yellow dragon. I don't think we've ever pulled that one. As often as we've played with the dragons, I do not believe we have used that one yet or seen this one. And crystal yellow dragon is crystal yellow dragons clear space around the crown chakra of animals and humans and then illuminate the chakra and set it glowing. This enables the angels and source itself to see us. Each of the 1,000 petals of our crown chakra can be extended to connect with a particular star, planet, or universal energy. However, in order for the petals to reach out, the light around them must be pure. So, crystal yellow dragons work rather like fairies who blow away the lower frequencies around planets so that they can truly glow freely. It does say grow, not glow, but glow works. Crystal yellow dragons not only have huge open hearts, but they also carry fifth dimensional wisdom codes for the universe and can download them into those of us who are ready. They work with Archangel Jophiel to light up and expand the crown chakras of all of us at a fifth dimensional frequency. They then cooperate with the unicorns to connect the petals into sources of universal wisdom and knowledge. Here's your guidance, Debbie. Receiving this card suggests it is time for you to walk a higher spiritual path. Crystal yellow dragons are swirling round your head, freeing the petals of your crown chakra from lower energies, allowing them to open and illuminating them. These dragons remind you that you are a being of the universe. The ultimate is to become a cosmic master, so step up onto a diamond path. The crystal yellow dragons will ensure you connect with those who are ready for the light you carry. When you meet people, your light will automatically light up the keys and codes of mastery latent within them. The time for this high service is now. So your presence is called for, not anything that you do, just your presence. There you go. Crystal yellow dragon. All right, and I saw no, not Erica, It was Joan Durchie that also asked for a card reading. Joan, I don't know if you have any particular cards that we're calling. Crystal yellow is citrine, Erica says, color for November. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. You're welcome, Debbie. And it is a beautiful dragon. So let's see. If I call on Joan, what does Joan need? Interesting. Galactic Heritage, Joan. This is the deck by Lissa Royal Holt. Right here, Galactic Heritage cards. This is also available now as an app. And I got it on my iPhone, so I'm sure it's something you can get for laptop or for Android phones. And you can draw cards daily and or also spreads if you want to do a spread with these cards. Um, so I suggest that app for people. That is one that is not free, by the way. It's not a free download. There's also a new app that I am going to share with you. But oh, goodness gracious, that just jumped out. Embracing transition. And you had two of them actually, Joan. Embracing transition. This one here was the first one. It is a card of Sirius, right? Sirius. And then you also have a Lyran card of natural humility. So 62 and 61. Let's see here. So we'll do 62 first, as it was the first one I pulled. In this time period, the Sirius energy has made an evolutionary transition from fourth density to fifth, which means a shift from physical to non physical existence. Humans are in the process of transitioning from 3D to 4D, so the guidance of Sirius is essential here. Planetary transition can be a frightening thing because it means leaping into the unknown. Personally, you are also making a transition to a new level of consciousness. It's important to embrace this transition and trust its process, even if you cannot see clearly where it leads. The energy of Sirius can help you with this process. And there are so many levels to the guidance represented by this card, it goes on to say. Energetically, it connects to the time period in which the Syrians moved from fourth to fifth density, from physicality to non physicality. At this time, humans are moving from a third density to a fourth density reality on their way toward integration. This is a huge transition for a planetary species. If this card came up in your reading, it is reminding you that you too are going through a huge transition in your consciousness as you walk on your spiritual journey. Sometimes this transition creates a lot of fear because you are walking into the unknown. We also call this dissonance, right? Dissonance. In that case, it becomes essential to embrace this transition even if you cannot see the outcome. For some people, this card comes up in readings when they have experienced the death of someone close and are struggling with guilt or grief about it. No matter the circumstances, the underlying message is to always open your arms and your heart to transition. Life is full of transitions, and when they are resisted, we suffer. Let yourself embrace them as a natural part of life and an essential aspect of spiritual evolution. And then card 69, natural humility. Um, that's this one here. And it is Lyra of the future. The ancient Lyran trait of arrogance eventually transformed into a beautiful trait of natural humility. This humility is not one of low self worth, but instead it acknowledges that all beings, including the self, are equal in the eyes of the universe and no one is more special than another. This natural humility represents a balanced ego and is essential for the transformation of all species or of a species. Look within. Begin the process of knowing that all things in the universe are equal to you, even the Buddha. Watch how this thought can be one of arrogance or profound humility. Therein lies the lesson. The Lyran time stream represents the Lyran culture after they healed their karma and the challenges of the past when they were a young species. One of the most profound challenges of the immature Lyran species in the past was arrogance. And after much self observance and practices of generosity, they transformed their species to one that embodied a powerful humility that was natural and authentic. Most planetary species have to make this transition in order to enter the galactic community. Humans on Earth, as a species, not as individuals, have not yet begun this process with full commitment. The development of this trait comes from viewing reality as a holistic unit rather than an us versus them. If this card came up in your reading, it could mean many things depending on the surrounding cards and your life situation. It could mean that you are already expressing this trait. It may mean that you need to look at the world in a more holistic way, embracing the connectedness of all beings and surrendering to the view of separation and surrender the view of separation in order to develop your natural humility more completely. Be honest in your self observation and open to the messages from your higher self about this, what this card really means to you. There you go. You got a dual message, right? A twofer. All right, guys. Uh, that is it for me. Thank you all for being here. Um, please hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Share it with your friends. Ask your friends to subscribe. I only need 3 more and it's 1,000. I can't even believe I'm there. Thank you all for joining me today. I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.